Yeah, that seems to me that might be the
Halder
case.
taking the cut through. Here we go. He's going to close in on Silva. He took the cut through on the corkscrew last time too. Is he going to do that again here?
Let's see, he's awful close to Silva. Silva goes a little bit deep. He is going to cut right through, comes in front of him, but he's a little bit out of sorts. Car manages to get itself back together, and Nico Silva tries to cut back on him, gives him another little hello, sneaks inside, down into turn 10, and makes a pass. I can't remember the last time I saw a pass into that turn.
It's going to take a brave move to the four chicanes here. No side-by-side yet from Sanchez. Trangarade will have to hold on through a tight section. White flag coming to checkered flag now. Sanchez needs a big corner exit here. Hard through the corner towards the final chicane. A slide for Trangarade. He hits the turtles. Sanchez with the pole. Side by side, they all slide. Trangarade wins it. My goodness, what happened?
Is that going to be enough to counteract anything? That's a battle for the lead as well. Frisha trying around the outside now. He's going to try to hold it out, but again, Polly Partonen able to hold it out. Oh my goodness.
And in the back, you can just see that is Juan Costa looking out of place, trying to get on the inside of Jukka Tolonen as they come around side by side and just shoved out to the grass. Thomas Simon has struck. He struck again, the second time in two corners. On the inside, going around the Lesbo 1 into Lesbo 2. Jukka Tolonen and Thomas Simon going at it. As we jump back to the car number 66 in 9th position, that is going to be Steve Gray looking to make the move on Alexander Wilfred on the outside, making it nice and tidy. Hold on to your hats, come on. Don't do it now, gentlemen. It's still a bit too early. Oh, on the inside, still holding. He's hugging the inside curve as much as he can. Steve Dwyer on the last corner of the last lap makes a move and overtakes to take 8th position.
I think he has as well, but here comes the move for Philip Hammer. It's going to be down to the inside, going through the first corner, done and dusted. Lucetta tries to fight him back a little bit, but it's a little bit too late. But no, Lucetta's going to have the inside coming up the rise to Druids.
And in through Druids goes the slides. Philip Hammer is not able to make it effective on the outside, but on the inside.
Last season, the top 3 in points were all Finns. Kayla, Partonen, and Seppa took a total of 9 wins out of the 12 rounds. While Finland has long had a strong presence in this series, that was surely one of the most dominant displays the country has put on in some time. Will they be able to back it up in 2022? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 1 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Ossian Puhaka. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. We'll start things off with one of the many tracks won by the Finnish contingent last season, Suzuka. Let's head to our track guide to learn a little bit more about it. Welcome to Suzuka Circuit, perhaps most famous for its hosting of the Formula One Japanese Grand Prix for much of the event's history. This track sees all sorts of racing besides that. In fact, this place began as a test track for Honda, but later proved to be a driver and fan favorite for competitive motorsports as well. The full layout of the Grand Prix course steals the show, but there's actually 5 different versions that can be run on iRacing. With their lap lengths ranging from just over 2 kilometers to nearly 6 kilometers, plenty of different types of cars can suit the track. GT racing and lower-level open-wheelers are quite popular, but motorcycles are also a staple here. Some of the corners have become world-renowned over the years. The S's are often cited as one of the great tests of a driver's technical prowess. Then, of course, there's Degner's 1 and 2, which provide very little runoff considering their fast and narrow entry. Later on, the long backstretch leads up to the notorious 130R, which is blindingly fast. The Casio Triangle offers one last chance at an overtake if you're brave, but has been the scene of many drivers clattering into one another over the years. F1 fans will be quick to cite the infamous coming together here between Senna and Prost. However, real-life visitors will find it's more than the racing that provides some viewing pleasures. The unique ways in which the Japanese fans celebrate their favorite cars and drivers certainly capture your attention. But it's no wonder they're such fanatics, because who wouldn't be with one of the world's greatest tracks right in your backyard? Well, fittingly for today, I'm actually joined by a Finn. So, Ozzy, how do you think your countrymen will fare today here at Suzuka?
I'm feeling thank you.
But coming to this track, what can the drivers expect with this car here?
It's a track with two phases, I think, because you have to wait for a lot. You have to be really patient at the snake, or the SS as we call it. And then you can really haul it up the Dunlop corner, you come to the Deckner bends, and you have to attack those corners. Then you once again have to wait in places like the spoon curve. So it has two phases. You have to be patient, but you also have to be very consistent and on it right from the start. Especially the first lap is going to be really crucial here, because you have to work on getting your tires up to the heat. It's going to understeer a lot otherwise. So what can the drivers expect is a lot of pressure, a lot of concentration, and a race that is going to feel like a 2-hour race, even if it's like 45 minutes.
Well, last season probably felt pretty long for some of our drivers with how close it stayed for much of it, but it was Marco Kayla who came away with the championship as we look at the end of season points there for 2021 season 4. Partanen winding up 22 points behind. Look how tight it was from there on down. Seppa, Costa, all within about 10 points of one another. Timothy Reed, very consistent, but never quite got that win. Still, he was about 92 back and wound up in the top 5. Of course, we also have the Classic Teams Championship in this series. And how was that, Ozzy?
Well, you had Renault winning it all with Severi Seppa and Keith Herner. Then you had Fittipaldi Automotive in second place and March Grand Prix team rounding out the top 3. So that's very different from how it went in real life. But then the drivers are available to change their fortunes more readily on iRacing. Tyrrell Racing Team was fourth, and then you had Team Lotus rounding out the top 5 last season. We'll see how it fares this season.
Yes, of course, they've rearranged the drivers, and we'll touch on that in a little bit. But for today's race, it is, of course, round 1, as we mentioned. 23 laps that they're going to be doing around here. And if you're new to this series, it's open setup, which means that the drivers can tweak the settings of the car to their liking. So as Ozzy was talking about, it's a track of 2 halves. So do they try and go for the downforce, or they try to trim it out? No spare car as well. So if they get any sort of damage, they're going to have to either deal with it or come in and get that repaired. And they do have some penalties. If they get 17 incidents, it's a drive-through. 25 will give them a disqualification. And they're qualifying right now, actually, for today's race and under pretty ideal conditions. 71 degrees Fahrenheit on the track currently for our drivers. 22 Celsius for those on the metric system. A little bit of wind, but I don't think that should be affecting them too greatly.
No, not at all. That's like 16 kilometers an hour, 10 miles an hour. That's like 4 meters per second. So that's not really much of wind at all. It's still going to be a slight effect, but you're not really noticing it. And to be honest, if you're using that as an excuse, then you got bigger problems with how the car is set up and so on. We're seeing the defending champion here, Marco Kela, taking the spoon corner really nicely. The spoon curve a little bit maybe tentative on the exit still, but that's one of those corners you can really win a lot of time in if you just brave it on the exit and really just get on the throttle early. You can slide it out real nice, but if you go too wide, then the car's gonna bottom out over the curves. So we'll see how his first lap goes.
Partanen has the provisional pole as he comes in and puts it down a 1:44.9. Costa's only 300ths behind him, so it is tight here in the qualifying, which it was in the previous race this morning in the official racing. Kayla crosses and takes pole away by 0.2 of a second, laying a big marker down there.
He is, and also they were doing the previous race 2 hours ago as a sort of a warm-up, and back then the pole time was 1:45.1, so drivers are getting a little bit faster here. Not sure if it's just down to the conditions or whether it's also the fact that Kela wasn't participating in that one and he is in this one. It was Timo Karjalainen, by the way, winning that one.
Also, we need to mention, you may notice on the tower, Andy T is back. That is a name that often is a threat for the victories. And right now, he's put himself into second, still about 2/10 back, but very close to Partonen. We'll see if anybody can get any nearer to that number 3 machine. We're waiting on about half the cars to set a time, including guys like Frisha and Tolinen. Alex Millward as well is one that we're waiting. Actually, he just popped one in, but that was a poor lap for him. Only good enough for 11th.
Andy T and Alex Millward, I'm glad to see them both out there on track. Andy T, of course, partnered with some Finns on the Raccoon Racing squad when he is not taking part in the CDC, so the Classic Teams Championship. So I believe he's the only non-Finnish member of that team. So Raccoon Racing, they had also one driver in the Finnish Championship final this year. That was Timo Karjalainen. So they're an up-and-coming team and they got a nice squad, and they also love these historic cars. So it's great to see them acquiring Andy T. I believe that was done a long time ago. I don't know why Andy wasn't driving last season, but he's driving this time, and we'll see if he can beat that 144.7.
But T's kind of taking the Raikkonen approach here and just kind of showing up when he feels like it, when he's got the energy for it. And right now, it seems like he's got the energy for this. He's been bumped down to 4th, but he's finishing the 2nd lap, but it's not quicker, unfortunately. Partonen has gone back up to 2nd, and Vaskilampi has slotted into 3rd. Seppa's 2nd lap improves, but he's only good enough for 7th. Interesting results here so far in this qualifying.
Yeah, it is, and it's no longer the 2nd lap that is certainly the faster. I mean, it can be, but it's not certain because the tires are going to be wearing out and the drivers are also going to be like gunning it on the 1st lap. We're following Gernot Fritzsche here, the great multi-time champion of this series, the greatest Lotus 79 driver of all time. He's got a 145.29 on the board, and that's only good enough for 8th place at the moment. So we'll see if he can improve on this lap. Of course, Gernot has been known to start the seasons rather slowly and then get going as the season rolls on.
Gernot coming through Spoon Curve, and when Ozzy says the greatest of all time here in the Sunday Grand Prix Series, he's not kidding. The stats bear that out. If you go by just wins, Gernot Fritzsche has 162. Compare that to the next nearest driver on that list. It's Nuno Moreira at 38. He is a dominant force out here. He hasn't been as much in recent seasons. He's admitted as much. He doesn't put as much practice in, and this car doesn't really drive with him as much on the latest tires that have been updated in the past year. And well, this 2nd lap's not an improvement, but he will start from 8th. We'll see if he can climb his way forward from there.
And now Alex Millward finishing up his lap as well with that fairly basic livery, it must be said, coming towards 130R. So we'll see how it goes for Alex. Coming up towards the final chicane, he's got a 145.7 on the board right now. Only good enough for 14th. I'm expecting more from Alex here, but he's bouncing up over the curbs on the last chicane a little bit too much for my liking. Not quite able to hold it tight. We'll see if he can put a good time here. No, he can't. That's not good enough, and that's not going to count, and that means our qualifying is concluded.
It is indeed, and Marco Kela has taken the pole. He'll be flanked by Pauli Partonen, who challenged him in the championship last season. Timo Vaskilampi will start from 3rd, so top 3 are Finns, just like the championship was, just one different name in there. Andy T starts from 4th, as Juan Costa will be P5, and Topi Kortaniemi will start from 6th. Severi Seppa, good enough for 7th today, flanked by Gernot Fritzsche, and Peter Konecny will start from 9th as Timothy Reed rounds out your top 10.
And in 11th place, it's going to be Uwe Trengride alongside Michael de Turk. Jukka Tolonen starting 13th, Alex Millward 14th, Paul Williams 15th, and then it's going to be everyone's favorite driver, Teemu Toikka, who is going to be 16th. Let's get those I support Fat Teemu 14 in chat. Martin Granberg in 17th, Christophe Dubois in 18th, Dylan Freckleton 19th, and Lost Olsen rounding out the top 20.
Timo Karjalainen starting from 21st, but he just admitted he qualified with race fuel, so that explains that change from last race. Pablo Suarez 22nd, Jean-Francois Boscus in 23rd, as Roman Pavlovsky will be P24. You've got Barry West 25th, Keith Erner 26th, Javier Mascara 27th, and Xavier Sanchez 28th. Saturnino, our only driver not to set a time out of the 29 drivers here today. So they start to line up, and we've got about 30 seconds left, but I see most everybody out there already, so we should be getting the lights starting to come up pretty soon here to open up the season. Who is going to be able to kick it off with a bang? Will we see big names like Andy T come back with a win, or will Marco Kayla start to defend his crown with a victory? Everybody is out there, so the engines now start to rev as the lights come up. It's the first of 2022, and the green flag is out. It is not a good start for Kayla. He gets swamped down a little bit, and Partanen is going to be able to get to the inside as it's a battle for third behind them, side by side, into the first corner. They start to get single file very quickly up at the top, at the back. Everybody is just trying to pick their way through, but no incidents so far.
No incident so far. It's been a clean start, and it was a little bit of a slow start up for Kela at the front, so he was a little bit bogged down as a result of that. Partanen takes the lead. Now it's going to be very interesting to see about the downforce levels, because you can normally make a really big gap here at the opening lap if you got high enough downforce, if you can get the wheels up to the heat. But so far it looks like everybody's just about equal at the front. Maybe Andy T is the strongest driver of the top three so far in terms of pure raw pace. He's made a good start, and he's already hounding down Kela.
Out of the Degners, we've only had one incident. Roman Pavlovsky at the back just had a small off. Not worth going to at this stage, but we'll see how he can recover. Oh, we've got another one out of the Degners now.
Yeah, and that's going to be number 23, and that is Jean-Francois Boscus. And he's struggling to get it underway, spinning again, finally able to get going. That's really unfortunate, but glad to see no major damage in that one.
Yep, still have all 29 drivers out there on track, and Partanen is leading them with Marco Kayla close behind. Doesn't look close enough to attack here unless he gets a great exit out of 130R. He is pulling the slipstream, and he is gaining. This could be a change for the lead once again at the end of the lap, much like we had at the start of the lap. As he tries around the outside, he finds some space, wheel to wheel. He gets a nose ahead, but he gets wheel spin, and Partanen is back in front.
Yep, but they're still side by side for a lead show here because Kela is on the outside, and he can maybe pull a Räikkönen in 2005 into the first turn, but here comes T as well, trying to split the two, and he didn't find the room, so that's going to be Kela trying it around the outside, but Partanen holding it well to the inside, and now T is going to take the position away from Kela, so that's teammates swapping positions. Andy T now in second place, and he is going to be the one attacking towards Partanen, so the top three already battling, and that's going to keep the pack all nice and bunched up.
Clearly, T is feisty today and willing to try and get the win here as he gets right up the gearbox of Partanen and has to check up a little bit as we hop onto his roll hoop coming into the Degners for the second time. Let's see if we get through here clean this time. The leaders didn't have problems last lap through, and they're going to get through cleanly as they come up to the hairpin. Not expecting T to try and challenge here. Maybe setting himself up once they come out of Spoon.
Yeah, that could be it, but Partanen maybe sliding a little bit wide on the hairpin, and this is when they are starting to feel the tires come back to them. So it's going to be really crucial to also remember to conserve the tires somewhat. Tire wear is an issue these days with these cars. You can really wear them out if you're not careful enough. And Andy T is going to be in the slipstream. He's going to be in a great position, having to lift a little bit as they come to the back straight, but it's looking good. I wonder if somebody spiked the T today. He's strong.
Seems like it. He is. And Marco Kayla is not close enough to try and get involved, at least right now, side by side through 130R. Andy T is on the outside, though. He's going to try and do what Kayla could not, and he manages to get fully ahead, and he is around. T is into the lead. Kayla can't get past Pauli Partanen, and that allows Andy T to start to stretch away a little bit, but he weaves on the front straight, trying to break the slipstream almost immediately.
Yeah, and T is getting a little bit bogged down on the end of the end of the main straight. I wonder if that's just him braking a little bit early to turn number 1, or if that's Partanen having higher top speed. I wonder if he is running out of gears, and that could be one of the issues, but that didn't seem like the case. Maybe he's just braking early. Either way, Partanen now in second place, as we have car number 20 off, and that's going to be Christophe Dubois in the first corner, but he's able to recover quickly. Yeah, as I mentioned, he was surprisingly slow on the end of the main straight, but as we come to the SS and we come to the Deckner curve, look at the gap he's able to make up, and that's telling me he has more wing than anybody else, and that's why he was looking so good on lap number 1. So for Partanen and for Kela, if they want to fight for this win, they have to get into his slipstream right now and attack him quickly, because that higher downforce setup is going to be faster over a lap.
I think this is Konechny that we're looking at in a battle with Millward, and Peter's going to come out on top in 10th place amongst them. That battle at the front really backed everybody up into one another. As we saw, it was a group of, I think, about 7 drivers that were in a train and coming out of Spoon. It's actually still very close here in the mid-pack as well on lap 3. As we come back up to the leaders. And Partanen not quite within the slipstream. He's about 7 to 8 tenths behind. He's going to want to get closer than that here on these long straightaways. This is going to be the critical moment to use that top speed that he hopefully has.
And you saw a little bit of a wiggle from Partanen as well coming into the final chicane. And that's the thing, he's going to want to catch up to leader Andy T, but at the same time, Marco Kela wants that second place, and he was the fastest driver last time around, and he's coming to the inside and trying to challenge, but that's not gonna work out on the first apex. Maybe on the second apex still gonna get alongside him and really harassing and like harrying Pauli Partanen at the moment. So Partanen can't really concentrate on his chase. Of course, Kela and T are teammates, but I don't think that's just team games. I think Kela genuinely wants that second place away from Pauli Partanen, and that's gonna allow Andy T to get away at this moment.
Yeah, this is kind of working against them in a way, as much as Kela wants it. Maybe he needs to try and work together a little bit with him here, unless he thinks he's quicker and is losing time. As they come up to the hairpin once again, the gap from T to Partanen has gone up to 1.2 seconds at brief moments. Look at how much this train has stayed together. My goodness, it goes all the way down. I think it looks like to Timu Toika in 16th before it really breaks up.
Yeah, it's a nice train, and here comes Kela once again, looking up to the inside, but not really like throwing it in there, not really sending it. And I think Kela is faster over a lap, but Partanen's got a better top speed. At least that's the way it's looked so far. Oh, and we have another car off at the hairpin. That's Roman Pawlowski sadly retiring from the race at the hairpin, so he's had some issues. But going back to the leaders and rather the podium battle in the second place, they're gonna have to make a decision. And I think Kela is letting Partanen so far lead and trying to let him, catch up to Andy T. We'll see the lap times here. How are they going to be? Andy T 146.5, and that's going to be Partanen with a 147.0. And that tells its own story, and I think Kela saw the lap times.
Oh, Kela gets to the inside, almost banging wheels with Partanen into the first corner. He carries on, and Partanen does not give up. They're coming into the S's, and he'll swing back in front. It was a valid effort from Marco Kela, but it still didn't pay off, and that stretches him now 1.7 seconds away from Andy T. They are costing themselves quite a bit of time. Vascalampi and Costa are also giving watch there. You can see behind them.
Yep, because there are so many drivers in the pack, because you got Vascalampi, you got Costa, and you got drivers like Seppa and Friction not too far away behind them. That means that Partanen cannot really just give up the second position so easily, because if he lifts and if he lets Kela go, then Vascalampi and Costa are starting to get ideas, and suddenly Partanen finds himself out of the top 3. I mean, yes, you have a situation where you need to catch up to the leader, but also for Partanen, he is in a motor race, and what he needs to do is race. So I can understand his approach completely, and he wants to defend this position because he knows that at this moment he doesn't have the pace to match T. Now their one hope is that Andy T will run out of tire, but so far he's not racing a Lotus 79, he's racing an Ekranaplan. The man's flying low.
And right now, this is very close for Caleb, closer than what we saw in the previous laps. He could have a go at it into the Casio triangle. If he thinks he can do it here, he is going to try and attack round the outside. Last time he tried this on Partanen, it cost them the lead, and this time it doesn't pan out either. But he'll get another bite, and he's been very close coming into the first corner, almost completely getting by before. This time, I think he's going to have a nose fully ahead. Can he finally shut the door by the time they get into that first turn? They're going to be joined by Vascalampi. No! Almost interlock wheels. In fact, they do interlock wheels. Vascalampi might get a 2 for 1. Not quite. Kayla does get the spot, and here comes Partanen back in the mix as well. He loses 2 positions from that craziness, almost 3. He's now side by side. Oh, wheels. Oh no, it's gone south. Costa somehow holds onto it, and so does Partanen through the S's. This is getting rough, but Partanen has to give way.
Lap 6, by the way. So lap 6 and season opener, and these drivers have been eager to go. That was crazy. And how did nobody crash out of that? I will never know. There were interlocking wheels. It was driving precision at its highest form. And here comes Partanen once again, almost ending up in the back of Juanmi Costa after that little incident. Both the drivers probably having a little bit of damage. I'm seeing some minor bends on the wing, front wing of Pauli Partanen as they come towards the spoon corner. But he's gonna challenge Costa, and that's a bit of netcode, unfortunately, and Costa takes a 360 and loses a lot of time.
Partanen rejoins, but he loses a position to Severi Seppa. I think he's going to try and get this one back immediately as he's got a nice slipstream and an extra bit of straightaway coming out from so wide. He'll get to the inside, coming to 130R. They're going to go side by side through there, but this time he has to back out. In fact, it costs him. Oh, more contact with Freesia, and Freesia flies off into the wall. That might be day done for him.
Yeah, he went into the wall, but he was able to get back on the track. He's gonna suffer a slowdown penalty right now, and he gets passed by a lot of people, but Prix is not one to give up easily. He has a little bit of steering damage, but other than that, it looks okay for him to continue, as we are seeing Teemu Toika trying to chase down the pack in front of him. It's really been a crazy day so far, and Toika, as a result of that, has been able to elevate his position. He is now 14th after starting in 16th place.
We saw Korteniemi weaving around trying to break the slipstream. We got more accidents.
Oh,
it looks like
Reed.
that is Timothy Reed.
And Jukka Tolonen involved in that one as well.
Oh,
and we got another driver off because that's Uwe Trengeride. That's Uwe going off in. You said sympathy. I think he was trying to avoid these guys, and as a result of that, taking a rough ride through the gravel, and that can really damage the underbody of the car. Because of course these are ground effect cars. They have a really fragile underbody that if you damage it, it's gonna really affect the aerodynamic proportions and the aerodynamic efficiency of the car, even more so than the wings do. So if you damage that, it's gonna be easily over half a second per lap in a track like Suzuka.
Trengeride just had another spin on his own and gets it rolling out of the hairpin. So yeah, I think he did have a little bit of damage out of that based on what we're seeing there. He's down to 17th because of that. We come back to Korteniemi, the current champion over in the Lotus 49 series, trying his hands at a much higher downforce vehicle. He's cracked into the top 5, but he's a ways away from the leaders at this stage, about 7.5 seconds behind. Just kind of picking him off as everybody else seems maybe a little too frisky out there.
Yeah, Korteniemi has been driving well so far, and he has that Lotus 49 advertisement livery as well going on here. So he is trying to defend the position against Michael de Turk and against Peter Konieczny as well. So looking successful so far, and he's in top 5 as you mentioned. I think that's exactly what this series needs, another fast Finn.
Yeah, really. Well, right now, the Turk is going to try and deny him that. Konieczny, not a Finn, and Alex Millward, not a Finn. So he's got to hold off a lot of other countries here if he wants to add another Finnish driver to the top 5 as they weave through the S's. He's starting to pull away a little bit. I think he's appreciating that downforce because he seems to have cranked it into this Lotus 79.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, as you said that, a little bit of a wiggle, a hard wiggle actually at Deckner 1, and that that was a great recovery from Topi Korteniemi. Really fast hands there, going a little bit wide, and as a result of that, wiggling a little bit too much. Now coming out of the hairpin and able to get it under
We
control.
had a spin behind them. Sorry, Alex Millward just lost it. Almost comes back into traffic and hits Juan Costa in the process. Thankfully,
Oh, that's a familiar sight.
yeah. But
Sorry.
Millward is able to get rolling without making any sort of contact, but he falls to 12th from that little spin.
Yeah, Alex not having the easiest of days. I think it might be just him wanting to race today, but not having what you say too much confidence out there, and that can really hurt you when you're not confident at a track like Suzuka. As we head back to the battle for top 5.
Indeed, and this is side by side into the Casio triangle. Korteniemi alongside Deturk. When he gets roughed out of the way as Deturk moves his way into 5th. Looks like Konecny also going to be able to get 6th away from Topi.
Yeah, so Topi losing 2 positions there. A little bit rough from Deturk. Nothing wrong there, just a little bit of contact. And Konecny, trying to benefit from that, but he goes out and he spins out and into the first corner. Will you avoid the wall, Peter? Yes, he will. Still losing a lot of time, losing a lot of positions, but that could have been so much worse. Thankfully, that runoff is a little bit uphill and there's that gravel trap waiting for you. So Peter can still get back onto the track, but he has dropped down to 13th place.
If this is your first time tuning into the Lotus 79 series, this is very, very elbows out. This is usually a very clean series. I'm a bit shocked at the racing that we're seeing. It's nothing too, I think, over the line here, but this is aggressive stuff. And Frisha, who is trying to recover from his run-in with the wall there, and I spoke too soon about him having to retire. He's currently holding off Karjalainen, Costa, and Toika for what appears to be 7th place.
Yeah, I think how these drivers have been spending their off-season is basically watching the last couple of laps of 1979 Dijon on repeat and trying to essentially mimic Gilles Villeneuve on that one, because it's been very elbows out, it's been very feisty so far, but that's something that can happen easily if the pack gets bunched up early on, Joe, because the drivers are going to see overtaking opportunities, they're going to get bunched up, they don't really have an idea about their respective race pace, and everybody, I mean every single racing driver out there thinks they're the fastest, or at least faster than the guy in front of them, so naturally they're gonna challenge them and they're gonna trust their racecraft, and so far it's been very good. I mean, we had a couple of spin-offs and incidents, but most of them have really been more unlucky than anything bad or with ill intent, as we see a side-by-side battle once again between Karjalainen and Costa, and I wonder if Karjalainen is able to hold Juanmi off. Yes, he is so far. So far, so good. Juanmi still trying to challenge him, though, into the SS. That's not a place. Usually you give up after the first corner, but oh no, and another bit of aggressive driving, and Costa has to avoid, and that's why you don't go side by side through the SS, because it usually doesn't work out.
And he caught a little bit of grass, and that was good night. So Juan Costa now done. Another retiree. We've lost Pavlowski, Dubois, Partanen, Tolinen, and looks like Costa is going to be our 5th for the day. But it is still Andy T who is leading this race by a handy 5.7 seconds. And bad news for fans of the Finns. It is not a gain in the last 2 laps for Marco Kala. He's been slower each and every lap, except for the last one. Andy T was much faster the last one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, no, that's not a 46, that's a 45 from Andy T, a 45.9 last time around, and he's coming up to lap cars already.
Yep.
Some of them at least.
That's Barry West letting him out of the way. West got a little bit involved in some of the opening accidents, so that's what's cost him a lot of time. And next one going to be ways up. Freckleton, actually almost half a lap in front of him, so it'll be a bit before Andy sees any more drivers getting the blue flags in front of him. I think we can finally catch our breath. No, we can't, because Frisha just lost out to Karjalainen, who gets himself up to 7th after failing to put his qualifying fuel in. He's at least remembered to put the race fuel in and gone from 21st to 7th now.
Yeah, Karjalainen being really fast, but here comes Fritsch with that low downforce setup once again, and that's going to be Gernot Fritsch passing around the outside and saying, not yet, Timo, you had a great climb, but you're going to battle with me for a couple of more laps. And that's something, I talked about this before in the past seasons, but that's something Gernot Fritsch does so well, is picking his race setup. Usually, he's a master of driving a low downforce setup really well, because you look at him in these corners, he's not an inch out of line. He's following a perfect line. It's not going to be fastest because he has less wing, less downforce than the guys around him. But once the straight line opens and Timo Karjalainen is going to see an opportunity like, okay, I'm going to get him on this straight, and then it's going to be just Gernot laughing with an Austrian accent, a little bit of Austrian accent, and laughing like, ha ha ha, no. 9.
And right now, the number one continues to hold him off. He does have to go defensive there coming into the hairpin. That actually opens things up for Toika. Tries to pass his countryman, but Karjalainen denies him. And that costs them valuable track position up behind Fritsch. He's pulled the gap that he needs just before the long straight to just extra ensure. Well, as a spin takes Fat Timu out of the running.
Yeah, and that's gonna lose him a position as well, because it's gonna be a really wiggly Alex Milward getting by him. So Teemu Toikka now dropping down to 10th place. I was just about to say how well Teemu Toikka has been doing so far, because it's been a long time since we've seen him in this car. He's more focused on the oval racing these days, but him and that 1995 Tyrrell livery, I believe that's a 95 or 96 Tyrrell, is doing quite okay so far. That's not a bad drive at all, despite the spin-off, because it's been a long time since he's driven a high downforce vehicle, and as such, it's great to see Teemu Toikka back in this series, and I for one hope he's going to drive a full season, as Karjalainen and Fritsch are once again fighting, and with Karjalainen getting ahead, he now has about half a lap to make enough of a gap before the straight towards 200R or true 200R opens up, and Fritsch can make up the ground once again.
Yeah, and he's already running away. Just look at how much he was being held up. He's got 4 seconds up to Courtniemi now in 6th place, and also 17 seconds to the leader. Don't think we're going to see Timo run away with this one as they come into the Degners once again. In fact, the best battle I can see amongst our top 10 looks to be between De Turk and Courtniemi, as they're dealing with some traffic of their own going by Barry West for now. About half a second splitting them. We'll see if Topi can catch back up to De Turk.
Yep, getting past Barry West nicely. It can always be a little bit spooky when a lap car gets onto the 2 wheels onto the grass in front of you. It's bringing me some flashbacks from Road Atlanta, certainly. I think Andy T is happy that he's not having any lap traffic or too much lap traffic to deal with today too. And the Turk, Courtniemi still fairly close to each other, and I wonder how Topi is going to approach this. What are going to be his advantages versus disadvantages, because both are fairly mature drivers, both are fairly experienced drivers. Topi more from the Lotus 49, but despite the cars only being 11 years apart from each other, Lotus 49 from 1967 and the 79 from 1978, as clear as that is, of course, from the name. Many people think it's from 79. No, it's from 1978, but there is a big difference. Like, the cars are basically night and day. So Topi, I think what he's going to struggle initially with is just trusting the downforce. Beginning to learn that you can brake really late with this car. In 49, if you try to brake late, you're essentially toast. If you try to turn into the corners too fast, you're essentially toast. You're still driving the car a little bit with the rear wheels, so you can use the throttle control in addition to the steering wheel to drive the car, unlike with modern things. Oh, and the Turk, a nice save there. I think that was a 2-footer on Degner corner, and as a result of that, Topi gets a closer look on how this car is supposed to be driven. Now, trying to hound down Michael.
Let's get a replay on De Turk on that entry from on board, actually, because that was a pretty scary moment. And I agree. I think he 2-footed it. And if so, that was very quick thinking, because it was a split second, but he was very sideways in that brief moment as they come into Spoon. Here we go. I'd love to see what the hands do here. Coming up to the first Degner. I think he takes too much curb. Let's watch. Wow.
I don't think that was a 2-footer. I think he just saved it, with his hands, because he was very quick to the counters there. The car goes loose, he's cutting up to the inside a little bit too much. He's cutting up the inside curb a little bit too much, and then he takes nice recovering action, you know, steers into the slide very quickly, and he has just enough grip to hold on to it. But he might have tapped a little bit of the brake, because the good thing about the Degner corner, when you're in the middle part of that corner, is that you're already preparing to brake for the second part. So as a result of that, you're gonna be in the mindset of, okay, I'm gonna brake here, and as a result of that, you can make a little bit of a correcting action very quickly without, you know, going from that I'm blasting down a straight line mindset. So you're already kind of careful going through that corner. I think he knew as soon as he hit that inside curve that he's going to lose it a little bit. So he was mentally prepared, and it was a great save. And we are seeing a great battle here. Wow, that's Uwe and a lot of other guys.
Oh, and more contact. That's going to spin one of them around. Timothy Reed gets collected as Suarez goes off course. And that is going to allow Trangrade to recover to 14th, and Paul Williams pick up a few along the way as well. Once again, there might be a few conversations after this race, I imagine, based on what we're seeing. Wonder if a few are going to have a talk about cooling out somewhat when they head off to Road Atlanta as we get a side-by-side battle.
Yep, P3, Vaskilampi was really struggling with his tires on the hairpin. He's still struggling, and Severi Seppä has now caught up to him and is trying to get that Walter Wolf car. Oh, and there goes Vaskilampi. Oh, no! It's a hard lick into the wall, and get out of the track, please. He will. We can't see anything from that cam. There we go. So Vaskilampi getting out of the racetrack, and then I'm assuming retiring, because that's not going to be a race car anymore.
He's waiting a long time. Not sure if he's looking for an opening. Yeah. There he goes. He's called it a day. So unfortunate to see Andy T in the meantime up to 6.5 seconds ahead of Marco Kela, continuing to trickle away from everybody else in the field. But Seppä now very clearly into third without any challenges as well. So 2 out of 3 on the podium, Finns at least this time.
Yeah, Kela and Seppä doing the honors here, getting the Finnish podium going. But Andy T, he's been very fast today, and it's not only just the high downforce setup, but it's also his racecraft, the way he was able to get to the front. And I think his race was very, very dependent on getting to the front quickly. He was really, really benefiting from that battle early on between the previous leaders. Like, you had Marko Kela not taking such a great start, and then you had drivers like Timo Karjalainen starting with race fuel for some reason, qualifying with race fuel for some reason, Pauli Partanen losing a lot of time in those early battles and eventually retiring from the race, and we're seeing a side-by-side battle, so I'm going to continue that thought later.
Yeah, Toika trying to take advantage of Millward spinning up the tires out of Degner too, and he gets through in the hairpin. Nice job. These two were closing up on the back of Gernot Friesche. We have to remember, Gernot also probably struggling a little bit from some damage after he grazed the wall. So I don't think this is just setup problems. I think this is Gernot finding himself a little bit disadvantaged.
Yeah, he had that spill early on going through the chicane, not only hitting the wall, but going through a very rough patch of gravel, so that underbody is going to be hurt, that wing is hurt. I wouldn't be surprised if those, like the suspension has taken a little bit of damage as well. So taking that into consideration, and considering that he wasn't the fastest driver by any means in qualifying as well, he only qualified 8th. He's doing very well to be in 7th place as Gernot Friesche right now, but I think Toika and Millward, at least Toika, with a car that should be in 100% condition, might just eat him up here. And it's a great chance for Toika as well to fight against Gernot here, as behind them we're seeing a great battle going into turn 1 between Peter Konieczny and Martin Gramberg.
Continuing on side by side. Will they have learned from those before? They're going to carry it on into the S's. No, they haven't learned, but they stay out of each other's way. And Peter will be able to take that 10th place away from Granberg.
Yep, he is. So Konieczny elevating himself into 10th, elevating that Renault ahead of the Theodore. I love those classic liveries. I love to be able to spot them, and I love these. It's a little touch of this series that we're essentially, and because it's season 1, we're trying to emulate the 1978 Formula 1 season. So it's a rotating system. In season 1, you're at 1978, season 2, 79, season 3, 1980, and season 4, 1981, and then it rolls around once again. So drivers have liveries, they have classic McLarens, Ferraris, Lodi, of course, Lotuses, and you have lots of other things, even some minor teams, and even some teams from Formula 2 and the British Formula Aurora. The British Aurora Championship to make up the field. So those are going to be non-promotable teams or non-promotable drivers who are maybe only putting it down on some of the races, as Toika tries it to the inside at 130 R10, decides against it, realizing that he will probably have more opportunities with these remaining 7 laps or 6 laps.
I think he knew that he'd slow both of them up, and Millward would probably be able to get a 2 for 1. So here we go, down the main straight. He is pretty close. Fat Timu reels him in. He's going to have to be brave, though, because we saw the lack of downforce on Frisha makes him tough to try and overtake on a straight line. He gets his wheels in, breaks deeper, and with that, Fat Timu finally gets up into 8th place. It could be 2 spots down, as there goes Alex Millward, and that is indeed 2 spots lost, and Seppa loses 3rd. Seppa's had something happen. He's in the wall.
That's hard.
No.
That's hard, and that's going to be Timo Karjalainen getting past him as well, so I'm going to be really curious to see what happened there. That car is a banana. It's not going to go straight anymore, and that means another position for Teemu Toikka and co, because that's going to be Seppa going off, yeah, and that's a car he's not able to finish most likely, at least not with any kind of pace. So Severi Seppa, another victim of attrition, that's going to elevate Michael de Turk into the top 3. So we're going to see what happened here. It's going to be heading into turn number 1, the first turn of this track. And Severi Seppa just, well, he's good so far, and he's going to be good on a straight line. So we're going to skip a little bit forward, and that's going to be in the middle point of the SS. The final right-hander, just not able to get it turned in, and just trying to correct it, not wanting to spin, correcting it, going down a straight line, unfortunately right into the wall, and that's such a curious place to make a mistake in, Joe, because that's usually the corner you sacrifice to get a better entry into the Dunlop.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised when I saw it as well, and his car might look like a banana, but it appears to have hit one as well, as it just kind of goes off. Did he have something in turn 1? You mentioned that earlier. Was he already dealing with damage, maybe?
That's very interesting question. I'm gonna take a look at that and come back to you later as we're watching him struggle more, and I'm not seeing anything. So Seppa just essentially made an error. I think overheating his tires a little bit in general, because that can happen very easily in the SS.
And you can see as we come back live, he's trying to just pick his way across the track and get into the pit lane. By the way, that battle between Toika, Millward, Frisha, that's not gone away, even though they've all changed positions. But it is Toika now at the front. I have to wonder if he's ever been to New Orleans, because I got to imagine that Fat Tuesday is probably his favorite day.
I don't think he's ever been to New Orleans, but you know, he lives near Kouvola, so that's essentially the same thing. Both are party cities, more renowned for their excellent architecture and things like that. So that's very, very, very familiar territory for Teemu, and I don't think he will be too impressed about New Orleans as a result of that. Of course, in the great state of Louisiana, I believe. New Orleans, maybe? Yes, no?
Yes.
Mardi Gras?
You got it right. I'm impressed. You said it how well, close to how they would say it without the extra syllable. Louisiana.
Yeah.
As we watch them come out of the spoon corner. This is for P6 now because of the loss of Seppa up there, and that actually brings Gernot Frisha back to where he started this race. It's got to be a bit disappointing, though, for that number 1 car, considering he's still exactly where he started with all he's gone through. He probably could have had a top 5 today.
Definitely. I think he could be where Timo is now, maybe where even Topi is now. He could be in the Turk-Korteniemi battle. I could see Gernot really benefiting from that one, but unfortunately, with damage, it's been a recovery drive ever since that incident, and Gernot's been doing well recovering. It's just that he doesn't really have the pace to battle properly with these guys, which is a problem, because I think Gernot is right now, if I would be Gernot, I would be like, oh, I'm in a damaged car, but I can see all the mistakes these drivers in front of me are making. He can just climb back or dig into his decade of Lotus 79 experience and seeing, oh, they are making mistakes here and they are making mistakes there and they're going to battle, but he just doesn't have the pace to get close enough to really attack unless something happens between Toikka and Milward. And right now, Toikka is doing a really good job of resisting the pressure.
Now that you said that, I really do feel old. I didn't think about the fact we've had this car on the service for a full decade now. So obviously, like you said, a lot of experience underneath him, as we've had a problem for Konechny out of Degner 2. And this was his own doing, just spun it, and unfortunately that loses him a spot.
Yeah, it is. So Konechny gonna lose one spot, and that's gonna be Martin Grönberg getting into 9th place. And that's been a great drive for Martin Grönberg today. He started 17th and he's climbed his way into the top 10. And another driver I would like to mention that hasn't been really talked about in terms of, we just had a change of positions. Yeah, Milward went past Toikka.
That was
I wonder if Toikka made a mistake at Spoon. Yeah.
Must have, and he's going to get back into the slipstream, but it doesn't seem he has enough. And here comes Frisha, but he can't get within attacking position. Maybe down the front stretch with the extra top speed that we're seeing out of the number 1 at times. Milward making good use out of his track position. He's another one that's climbed his way forward quite a bit from 14th to 6th. And they're both gaining on him as they approach turn 1, but nothing doing, although a little bit of a look from Teemu.
Yeah, I think what Gernot is doing is reminding them that he's there every now and then, but there's no point for Gernot to battle these guys, not right now. What he wants to happen is Teemu to catch back up to Alex and those guys to continue the battle, so he doesn't want to disturb Teemu at all. In fact, it's his only hope of gaining any positions is that the battle will continue and he is maybe able to get back into it. And we are hearing reports from Dylan Freckleton having a crash as well in the lower positions. Oh, and Milward going very wide at Degner 2, and he's gonna go a little bit skateboarding there, grinding over the curves, and that's never a good thing, not in terms of damage and not in terms of pace. And Toikka is gonna see his chance here as you can see Milward struggling with the tires here. You can really see it.
And he's trying to go a little defensive maybe. No, he comes back to the racing line. Off to the right-hand side, leaves the door open. And Teemu does not try for it. Maybe coming off the corner here as they exit off of Spoon. Will we see another good run out of that 7th place car, weaving to try and break the slipstream? Alex Milward does not feel confident here, and he's going to cover the inside as they go side by side into 130R, neither willing to give way. It'll be the inside down into the braking for the Casio triangle, but Toikka's not done. He's got to charge hard off of the exit, and he finds the grip. That'll be 6th place for the Finn.
Round the outside through 130R. Teemu Toikka, I mean, he was... What makes that even more impressive is that he saw how much Alex was struggling with the tires. Alex was slipping here and there, and he was still trusting Alex to have enough grip to hold it down the inside. Because if Alex wouldn't have been able to hold his line down the inside at 130R, then that would have been Teemu Toikka who was essentially on the firing line. But instead, Teemu was able to pull that off, then braking nice and tight on the inside into the triangle and getting the overtake done. And now you can see Alex really trying to get the last out of those Goodyear tires to really catch back up to Teemu Toikka. And you can just see him sliding around so much right now. But it's been a great battle so far. It's been a great battle between these guys, and I think it's going to continue right until the end, because even Teemu is struggling a little bit on Degner 2, and that's when Alex is at his best, when he's properly attacking. And now, right now, he's seeing red, not just due to the nose of his car, but he's seeing red and he's attacking, and it's going to either lead to two things. Either he's going to throw another challenge to Teemu Toikka, or he's going to end up into the wall. And in either case, it's going to be spectacular.
Yeah, I'd like to posit a theory that I think Milward is not having the best day due to the fact that it's a Brit sporting very French colors on that car right now. So we'll see what he thinks about that. And right now, he's not got the greatest of runs, although he's pulling some slipstream off of the 14 car. Not going to be side by side into 130R this time. He could try and attack down into Casio. He's getting ever closer. He's got a great run. He's going to look for it. He'll get his wheels into there, but he's going to be rebuffed once again.
Yeah, he's gonna have to fight hard here. And you know what they say about English is that somebody is a proper English lion, Nigel Mansell, the English lion. Well, Alex Milward with those colors, he's more like an English lion in this race.
Exactly. Well, as they come through turns 1 and 2, he takes another look, but is still not being able to scare the Finn off the racing line. That is going to be a difficult task if he hopes to try and rattle him, as so far he's been able to fight back, and we're down to 2 laps to go, so the opportunities are dwindling away.
They most certainly are, and look at this man, a 10-second lead for Andy T. It's been an absolutely spectacular race. As I mentioned earlier on, yeah, benefiting from the battles, being able to get positions when it mattered, but this is truly also the upside of that higher downforce setup. It's faster over a single lap, and once you get that gap done, it's a little bit of a gamble because you're not really going to be able to pass guys down a straight line. But once you get that pass done, as we have a spinner, it means Andy T is able to just get away from everybody and being able to conserve his tires and being able to do really well. And we had another spinner as well, so whoa, it's been really yard sale here at the SS of Suzuka.
Yeah, that was Laust Olsen was the first one in the blue and yellow, and Saturnino there in the 27 machine, who both had their incidents, unfortunately, but it's almost over because we just got the white flag, and now we're getting side by side once again. This time on the outside, it is Alex Milward, and he is fully beyond him by the time they get to the braking of this final chicane. Will we see a fight back from Fat Timu? He's going to try and get the corner exit, and he does pretty decently. Does he dare try and take it wheel to wheel into the first turn? He's got the run from behind, watching Gernot Frisch could take advantage if this goes south, and he's got a nose ahead now, and he's got the track position, but weaving around the outside, Alex Milward with a brave move tries to keep this fight alive, and he's going to deny him.
Wow, and just wiggling a little bit coming into the SS, and so is Teemu having to counter steer, and this is something that's gonna go on all the way to the back straight. I don't think either of them are going to give it up, not until the checkered flag flies and the fat lady sings. Wow, let's take Andy to the finish first though.
Absolutely. In fact, he's so far ahead of this group that he's coming out of Spoon Curve just as they exit Dunlop. So here comes Andy T along the backstretch with a clear run. He had to fight his way to the front, didn't have the best qualifying, but he didn't need it. Once he got to the point, nobody could touch him. As the number 2 car returns, will he show up for the rest of the season and challenge for a championship? Or is this going to be another of his many one-offs we've seen as Andy T takes the victory in Suzuka?
Yeah, it's a great drive from Mr. T, and I think he's going to have to change his name to Antti T at this moment. Learn the basics of car control as well, a nice 360 there. And we're getting Topi and Timo to the finish as well. It's very close between those two, and it's going to be Karjalainen challenging, but I don't think he's quite close enough. Still a great climb from him today.
Korteniemi getting 4th place. Nicely done as Toika tried to give it to Milward, but he couldn't get there. And now Gernot Frisch is nearly close enough to put him down one more, but it's not going to be there as Milward takes 6th, Toika 7th, and Frisch 8th.
Wow, what a battle between those guys, and what a battle throughout the race. The leader Andy T got away, but behind him we saw what this series is all about. Though a little bit feistier than usual, Joe. I wonder if that's going to be a recurring theme throughout this season. I think a lot of drivers are going to be at least a little bit argy-bargy to let Andy T teach them a lesson like that.
Indeed, and Andy's going to burn it down as the last of the cars trickle across the line. So we're going to take a break. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Suzuka. Round 1 for the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series gave us quite a race. It was a rough one for a lot of drivers, except for Andy T, who went from 4th to the win by 10 seconds over anybody else. Marco Kayla had kind of come home, tucking his tail in 2nd place after putting it on pole. But what about Michael de Turk? From 12th to 3rd for him. He's got to feel good about that, as the next Finn is going to be Topi Kortaniemi, coming over from the Lotus 49s and finishing 4th today. He beat back Timo Karjalainen, who finished 5th from 21st. Another good climb after he failed to put the right qualifying fuel in his car. Alex Millward was eventually able to get to 6th place. Certainly had a heck of a time out there, as Timo Toika fought him all the way to the finish and came out 7th with Gernot Friesche in P8. Martin Granberg, another one, really taking advantage of a lot of drivers falling by the wayside, going from 17th to 9th as Konecny rounds out your top 10.
And Uwe Trengeride, despite his eventful race, was able to finish exactly where he started, in 11th place. Javier Sanchez gonna be coming home 12th after starting 28th, so that's another great climb that went under the radar. Paul Williams 13th, Timothy Reed 14th, then you got Pablo Suarez in 15th place, Javier Mosquera in 16th, Keith Herner 17th, Jean-Francois Bocou in 18th, Lost Olsen 19th, and Flavio Saturnino, after starting dead last, is gonna finish in top 20.
And 21st, it was the first car lap down with Barry West as Dylan Freckleton. Actually, I think from there on down, it looks like we have DNFs for our drivers. So West, the only driver who went a lap down. Seppa, Vascalampi, Costa, Tolanen, Partanen, Dubois, and Pavlovsky did not see the checkered flag today. But one man saw that checkered flag first, and that was Andy T, who has returned once again to show everybody how it's done. Andy, a victory here today, but before we get to that, let's start with the qualifying. 2nd lap wasn't faster. Was that the best you could do in qualifying, because your pace in the race looked like you had immense speed today?
I drove 2 really bad laps, to be honest with you. I was not pleased with qualifying. Like, I'm comfortably half a second faster than that, rather. And I don't know what happened. Sometimes you just drive bad, man. And I just told myself I'm not doing that in the race, and got the bit between my teeth and got on with it.
You absolutely did. You stormed your way up to the lead very early in this race and then ran away with it from there. At any point, was that a concern? Did you kind of come in feeling very confident that you could take that one with ease today?
I mean, you can never be super confident. There's some guys in this car that are just so quick, man. Like, it's unreal. Like, you can't walk into these races thinking you're going to win. That's a recipe for disaster, man. And disrespectful. That's another thing. So, no. And honestly, when I saw the gap growing, all I was thinking was just don't make a mistake. I don't know if you caught it on stream, but a back marker spun in front of me just after Degner 2. And I thought that was it. Thankfully, he didn't bounce back across the racing line and I got in the brakes. But yeah, you really have to focus in these things, man.
Yeah, we didn't catch that, but that is win number 10. The good news is you only have 152 to catch Gernot on the all-time list.
Oh, great, perfect, fantastic.
All right.
10 years then.
Congratulations. Is there anybody you want to thank for today's victory?
Yeah, I thought I'd draw some hoops at the end. You know why? Got a lot of practice in Spoon this week. That really helped. Shout out to the Raccoon boys, as always. You're fantastic. Michael de Turk, who's my little closet bestie. Thanks, man. And the fam and everyone who watches. Thanks so much. And you guys for the broadcast. Okay, I'll be quiet now. Thanks, guys. Okay, great.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. That's Andy T with the win, and always an entertaining interview. Up next, though, talking to his fellow Finn, it is Ozzy with Marco.
Yes, Marco Kela, you came into this race as the defending Lotus 79 champion, Sunday Grand Prix champion as well, and you took the pole position. Then you messed up the start and let a part-timer win, resulting in a great disgrace not only to yourself but the entire country of Finland. How do you feel?
Well, I messed up starts like always, like 9 out of 10 starts I mess up, so that I was expecting, but I got a little practice before race. Like, I was 15 past 6 on my computer after work, so got a couple of quali laps and straight to the race.
Oh, okay. So it was It was a little bit of lack of practice then for you. That's understandable. Still a great result in terms of second place. Was it a difficult race for you in terms of the track and the conditions, or do you like Suzuka?
Yeah, I like Suzuka, and in the first laps, Pauli fought very hard, and we made the little contact lap 6, I think, and I knew I was faster than Pauli. I just have to go past him, and it will be easy second place.
Yeah, and that's the way it turned out as well. Let's take one more question in Finnish. So vielä suomeksi, jos on terveisiä kotimaisille katsojille, niin Marko Kela, anna tulla.
No niin, rakkuunipojille tietenkin ja Timolle ja kaikille setuupitekijöille, niin aina iso kiitos ja teille tietenkin.
Yes, kiitos Marko ja we'll see you next time around.
Yeah, thanks.
And that's Marko Kela, and in the free for translation for English viewers as well, he was thanking the Raccoon Boys, everyone making setups, and Timo Karjalainen, of course, as well as our entire broadcast crew here at GSRC. And Joe, I believe you have one more interview for us lined up today.
Yep, Michael de Turk, who finished third out here, and he came from 12th on the grid. So, Michael, that was an impressive climb. There was a lot of attrition, especially at the front of the field. Do you attribute more to that, or do you think your pace was more to claim that third place?
I got really lucky. There's no way to cut that any other way. I got really lucky. So many people had issues, and for once, it wasn't me that had the issues. So, I had a clean race, had a couple of close laps with Topi there, but definitely got lucky.
Well, you've got quite a bit of competition out here between guys like Andy T popping in to dominate the field, and it seems like the Finns just basically have an army here anymore. What can you do to try and take the fight to them?
Do my best to qualify as high as possible, and then truly train them for the entire rest of the race.
Well, next week you're going to have some more slipstreaming with Road Atlanta. Do you usually consider that one a strong one for you?
No, I'm typically better at the high downforce tracks. I have to use a little more downforce than most of these guys. Here today, I was running an absurdly high amount of wing. Just Gernot would walk me by 6-7 tenths of a second in a straight line. So I just got to stick in the draft and hope for the same thing as this week, next week, which is a bunch of people crashing into each other.
Well, we'll keep an eye out for that. I'm not sure everybody else wants that, but we'll see. Is there anybody you want to thank for today's podium?
Just the guys working on setups, our usual group, Timo, Yuka, Paulie, Saveri. That I think is a huge benefit to the community. And to be clear, I don't want anyone else to crash either. I would rather have a good race than a crash fest.
That's understandable. And that was Michael de Turk, our third place finisher here today for the Warsteiner number 15 machine. That's going to close out our interview. So we want to give a big thank you to the Lotus 79 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. And also we want to thank the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more great work. And thanks to the team today, Ozzy, Zach, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media listed here on the screen. Also, check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC, and we keep a link for that in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment, because as we mentioned, the next race will be at Road Atlanta Sunday, December 26th at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out. Mark them down on your calendar. And just a little bit later today, Big C's MX5 Challenge goes to Road America at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.